All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We do have a virtual audience as well, so I'll say hello to them and thank you also for tuning in virtually. Stanley Crowder with the United States Secret Service is a special agent out of the Wilmington office. He is going to give us a presentation today on frauds and scams that you may come across in the community, whether it be in person, online, ever how that may come to fruition. I will let you know that I'm a social worker here with the Senior Resource Center. My name is Jeffrey Lee, and I'm also the co-chair of the Elder Abuse Prevention Network in our community. We do look at elder abuse, neglect, and also frauds and scams. So the portion that we're focusing on today with Stanley is obviously the frauds and scams portion. Stanley is also a member of our Elder Abuse Prevention Network. So that's kind of one of the reasons that we wanted to make sure that he gave this presentation to you today. So Stanley.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm so glad to be here with you. I want to first thank you, you all, for what you do. It takes special people to do the job that you're doing, and not a lot of people can do it. And I don't know if you get enough thanks, but I want to thank you personally for everything you're doing. Can you hear me in the back? I had an old friend that would always sit in the back, and somebody would say, "Can you hear me in the back?" And he'd say, "I'm afraid so." So as Jeff said, I'm Stan Crowder. I'm a special agent with the U.S. Secret Service. Our office right down here on 17th and Shipyard. Most people don't even know we have an office here in Wilmington, but we do. We actually are an agency that does investigate fraud. Most people think all we do is run next to the presidential limousine, make sure nobody gets to the car. Well, you can tell I haven't done that in a while. We do that. We actually have a dual mission. We were started in 1865 for the investigation and suppression of counterfeit currency. Over the years, our roles have increased, our numbers have increased. We still are a very small agency in the federal government. We are one of the very smallest. We've only got about 3,500 special agents and about 1,800 uniform division officers, and we have about 8,000 total employees worldwide. So we have to, a reason I say that, we have to do a whole lot with, we're very, very autonomous. We have to go out and do a lot of different things on our own with support from local and state agencies and so forth. One of the things that is my passion is education, especially to seniors, because seniors are being targeted for fraud, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm actually from Wilmington myself, one of the few natives remaining. Was gone for 20 years in Miami and DC and Raleigh for this job. Prior to being an agent, was a sheriff's deputy here in New Hanover County. And if I can make it up to April of 22, I'll have 36 years in law enforcement. So I'm getting long in the tooth. People are starting to ask me now, "Hey man, aren't you about ready to retire?" Makes you feel great, right? Let me also say hello to our audience online. I know we have a Zoom audience. Thank you all for joining us. And we had a little bit of a technical issue when we're not able to stream it onto your screens, but we're actually streaming it via here, live here, obviously, just with the camera pointed to the screen. So apologies for that. So what is the problem? Let's get into it. Criminals worldwide are targeting seniors in the U.S. for fraud. Now they're targeting other people too, other age groups, but seniors are a large audience, a large amount of the victims that we see. They're using advanced and ever-changing techniques. I can't emphasize that enough. Every time I give one of these, there's usually one or two extra things I can say that we've noticed that's now happening. Most of these people are very convincing, and they try to confuse or intimidate the victim into giving something of value. So what we're going to, all these things we're going to talk about, nothing is going to happen here that people don't actually give freely. In other words, this is not somebody that hacks your computer and takes something from you that you don't know about. These scams are using social engineering. The techniques they use are social engineering, meaning that they convince you to give something of value to them. And it may not always be your own resources or your own monies. It may be a case where you're receiving money and sending it out to other people. These folks are very persistent. They will, I can't emphasize that enough. They will continue to bother you and call you and email you and text you until they are absolutely convinced and satisfied that you will no longer do anything for them. They'll say anything to keep you talking. Now, these are the ones obviously that are on the phone. Hang up. There is nothing that says you have to talk to anybody. A lot of people now tell me that they don't pick up the phone unless they know who's calling. And of course, now we'll talk about this a little bit, the voice over IP, they're able to call you and it looks like they're in Wilmington or somewhere familiar from you, right? But they're not there. They're not in that location. They have multiple victims at the same time because the more victims they have, the more money they can make. And this is how they make a living. This is basically organized crime. Just like a drug, just like a drug organization or any other organization that is doing criminal activity, there's a hierarchy, there's a structure. So the person on the phone is trying to get the money is the low-hanging fruit. That person then has to send a large percentage of what they make up to higher levels. The total annual loss in the United States, this is last year, is approximately to $40 to $50 billion. Billion dollars would be, and it's often unreported. I know that's a fact because I know a lot of people that are embarrassed or ashamed to tell anybody that they were scammed. They give their life savings to somebody and they realize I was duped, I was scammed. I don't want to tell my kids, I don't want to tell my friends, I don't want to tell my spouse or anybody else. The average senior citizen's annual loss in the US is 2.9 billion. Of that 40 to 50 billion, 2.9 billion is seniors. The average senior loses $500 to $1,500 of their own money. That I think is very low because the ones that we investigate are in the thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now we're talking loss to the senior themselves, their own savings and their own retirement and things like that. Criminals target victims by phone, text, email, social media. Any possible way they can target you, they will. Any possible way to communicate with you, they will. 99% of these folks are not here. We were in Whiteville a couple of months ago with a lady that's a widow. She's in her 70s, and she did not know what she was doing. We went over, we found out what she was doing. She was receiving and sending money. She also she received a large paycheck protection program fraudulent loan that she then sent out to criminals. And we went out and talked to her, and she literally was afraid that guy was going to come and break in her house and harm her because she stopped sending money. And I had to tell her, this person's not in here in the United States. They're in a foreign country. They're going to use whatever they can to harm you or to threaten you, I should say, and into continuing to help them receive money. I really hope that I think about her a lot. I just hope she doesn't live in fear. That's sad. Of course, many victims have been identified in southeastern North Carolina. So southeastern North Carolina is where my office, we have about 6 agents here, and we've got 14 counties in the southeastern North Carolina area that we do criminal investigations in. And that's why I was emphasizing southeastern, because you may think, oh, well, it happens. I've heard of it happening, but it doesn't happen around here. Oh, it does. It does. The old fraud techniques. 30 years ago, when I was a sheriff's deputy in New Hanover, I worked crime prevention some of that time. and I would go out to senior groups and I would talk about scams of that day. And what we saw then was somebody would come to the house, want to paint your house cheap. As soon as it rains, the paint washed off. They want to come and they come with a truck about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and they say, hey, we've been paving some driveways. We've got a little extra in the truck. We don't want to waste it. We see we probably got enough to do your driveway. We'll do it for a couple $100. Normally it's $600, whatever the number is. Oh, absolutely. I want to save some money. My driveway needs paving. They pave the driveway, all smiles. You send a check, they drive off, and in a week later, grass is growing up through the driveway. Now you got a mess. You got to fix it and redo it and everything. There's also the one that somebody wants to let you in on a hot investment scheme. You got to, nobody knows about this. Very few people, if you invest now, you're going to make a lot of money, and they really hook people, and these people pay a lot of money and then they don't get anything in return. The other one is people offer to repair your house. They come into your house, they find out what you have, your items, your goods, your valuables. They come back later on, break in the house, take your stuff. That was the old techniques. Now the new ones, online romance scam. That's really the most common one we see in this area is the romance scam. Just dealt with a lady yesterday. So one of the other agents in my office received a request from our office in Miami. Hey, there's a lady in Wilmington, and we want you to go try to find her and ask her why she sent $127,000 of somebody else's money to this other guy. So we find her. We finally track her down at her place of work yesterday afternoon. This just happened. We go in, we talk to her, and she, first of all, she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Why am I targeted? Why am I coming up in an investigation? We talk to her, we say, hey, are you involved with somebody online? Yes. How long have you been dating this person online? 4 years, which is a really long time for this kind of thing. There is no telling how much money she sent this guy. So what we found out is somebody hacked a business and took over their computer and started issuing checks. She received some checks from that and then sent them on. Her boyfriend that she's never met online instructed her to go, open a bank account and deposit these checks and send these checks out. Well, she was a little, it's a little irritated at first that we were there bothering her. But as soon as I told her that she had just confessed to committing wire fraud, bank fraud, and mail fraud, her tune changed a little bit. So I don't think she'll be doing that anymore. This very common. This is what we mostly see now. Online ad, work from home scheme, family member in trouble, where you get a phone call. Hey, grandma, this is your grandson. And they don't say their name because they don't know who your grandchildren are. They don't know the name. We had a lady send $400,000 to Madrid, Spain, to her grandson, who told her he was in trouble. She couldn't get to the bank fast enough. The way we found out is that she banks at a small bank that know their customers, and they kept seeing this lady come in, multiple times a week, trying, getting money out. And they finally asked her, "Hey, Miss Smith, this is a little out of character for you. You normally don't do this kind of thing. What's this money for?" She's, "Oh, I'm helping out my grandson." And of course, ding, 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 the alarm bells. And they told her, they said, this is probably not legitimate. She's like, she got real defensive. She said, "This is my money. I can use it for whatever I want it used for." So basically it bankrupted her, she and her husband. And they were in their mid to late 80s. I would be surprised if they're still here now. They're probably both deceased. But they were relieved of their money. The computer repair scam is the most common scam in the country at the moment, but not here. So that's when you're on your computer, you get a pop-up that says, "Stop everything, don't touch the keyboard, call this number for Microsoft support, and we'll we'll help you fix your computer. Well, what you're doing is there's really nothing wrong with the computer. If you would turn it off and back on, it would be fine. But people don't want to damage their computer, so they call the number, and then that person normally is in either the Philippines or India. And a lot of times you can hear the accent. They can't mask that. That's what I tell people. If you hear that accent, be very wary. So the person ends up hacking into the computer and taking something of value or fixing something that they really aren't. It's really not wrong. There's nothing wrong with the computer, but they say we'll fix it for $300 or whatever. And these people give this kind of money, and then also later on they have access to that computer because you've given them access to it. But that's really not that popular here. Anybody got a call that says you owe back taxes to the IRS? They're gonna put you in jail if you don't. Exactly. The IRS does not call people. They do not call people. They send people letters in the mail.
We're getting the money back.
We'll talk about that. That's a good point there. I do want to address that a little bit later. So how do they contact people? All of these ways. They do it any possible way they can. And you think about 30 years ago, the only way people could contact you was come to your house, call you on the phone, or send you a fax if you had a fax machine. Now they can email you, they can text message you, they can get you on Facebook or Instagram or any of those, Snapchat, the online dating site. A lot of our seniors these days, especially the widows and widowers, this is not only women, this is men involved too as well, being scammed, of course. And they go online to these websites for seniors looking for companionship, looking for somebody to spend time with. And these criminals look every day at these ads, and they start sending out messages, and they start talking to somebody. They know, they're very good. They know what to say. They know how to befriend somebody and then fall in love with them. And then pretty soon they're going to start asking for money. We talked about the computer repair scam. Here's one from a few years ago. It's a text from Walmart, $1,000 gift card. This is a link right here. Do you think it goes back to Walmart? No, that link will probably install software on your computer or phone that will then exfiltrate or take the data out, including your banking information and things like that. So the point is there, don't click on links. Don't ever click on a link in an email from an unfamiliar source or on your phone, because damage can be done. So who are these people that are scamming everybody? Where are they? Who are they? Well, there's a picture, literally, it's not a great one, but it is a picture of a bunch of people in a room with a bunch of laptops. And these are the folks that are going online, checking social media, checking different Facebook accounts. They go online and make a fake Facebook account that says that their name is, George Smith. They live in London, England. Here's a picture of them. And all that information is hijacked from somebody else. It's a fake profile. Some of them are very good. Some of them are very convincing. Here's another picture, and it's basically it's a room where these people are living. You see the bedding and stuff, and they're just doing their thing. All of them are doing their thing, and they're kind of competing with each other to try to get as much money as possible, because they're gonna keep a small percentage of everything they get. So they want to try to get as much as possible so they can obviously make more money. Here is a, in quotations, a certificate. A lot of times in these lottery sweepstakes winning kind of things, or chest of gold, chest of money that they want to share with you, but they need you to send money for the taxes and all that. And they'll send something like this that says certificate of deposit. All of that is fictitious. It's not even, it's a fictitious scam. And it's used by scammers to convince people even further, oh, this is legitimate. Look, that gave me a certificate. Oh, it's got to be real. It's not real. A few case examples. Everybody likes to hear the war stories and the different cases we've had. Before I came back to Wilmington, I was in the Raleigh office for 9 years, up in Raleigh, North Carolina, Wake County. And we had 23 counties in eastern and central North Carolina. So we had a call from a lady in Greenville, North Carolina, and she told me that she met a guy on a dating website, fell in love with him, and he started asking her to send money for, this, that, and the third. His son was sick. He needed money for the medical bill. She sent money. Hey, I want to come see you. Can you send me a plane ticket? Yeah. So she sends money for a plane ticket. Oh, well, I've been delayed because I have to pay a customs tax to be able to, whatever this story is, it doesn't matter. It just gets more. So she sends, I don't know, $320,000 to him, her life savings. She buys a wedding dress and she paints a room for the child that she believes he's bringing over for them to live together and get married and everything. Of course, this guy doesn't even have a son. This is all made up. I want to tell you that this lady would call me and beg and plead me to go arrest this guy. And I said, look, I would love to do that, believe me, but he's not here. The person is not here. And that's the frustration we have. We can't lock these people up because they're not in the United States. I can't go to a foreign country and arrest people. And you say, well, why don't you try to get them to help you? A lot of these countries that this is happening from, the government is also getting paid. So they're not going to help us. They'll say they are, but they don't. They don't help us. So I learned a while back, I said, I can't arrest these people, but I can go out and try to prevent people from sending them money and educate people. And that's the only thing I can do. She was so desperate that she would call me and threaten to commit suicide if I didn't get her money back. And I kept telling her, the money's gone. I would absolutely get it back if I could for you. But it's gone. It's been gone. So every time she'd call me and threaten to commit suicide, I called the Greenville police. She was in Greenville, North Carolina. I called the Greenville police. Hey, this is Crowd from the Secret Service again. So-and-so, here's her address. She's called again and says she's going to commit suicide. How about sending somebody over there to check on her? They send somebody to knock on the door. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm frustrated. Well, a couple of years later, I get a call from her sister, who I'd never talked with. She said, well, I just want to let you know, your number was in her phone, and I just want to let you know she died. And I thought, oh God, she finally did it. When she had a medical condition, went to the hospital for an operation, and passed away. Very sad situation, very sad case. So this we talked about a little bit about romance scams, and again, the way they start is they get to know the scammer through a social media site. There's one called ourtime.com. If you have anything on ourtime.com, please take it off. But if you know anybody that uses that website, take it off, because that is the prime website the criminal is using in our experience that we've talked with people to lure people to either send their money or send somebody else's money. So they fall in love, and then they start sending money, and then there's asked to send more money. She makes the payment, and then they find out, oh, they're not gonna, this is a scam, and they get suspicious. They ask the person, well, why haven't, oh, well, this delayed in customs, and so and so, whatever the excuse is, it's gonna come, don't worry, any day. Well, that day never comes. So finally it ends. They all end, but they end either with us showing up, knocking on the door and saying, you're sending somebody else's money, just like I was telling you about yesterday. Or we get a call, hey, I think I'm involved in a scam. Somebody stole my money. We talk to them about it, find out what the circumstances are. And most time they're out of money by then anyway. This actually this is from a case we just recently had, and it was a romance scam. This person here, this Diane Walker, does not exist. It's a made-up name. It's a picture that was taken off of a Facebook posting or some other social media posting, copied and pasted. It looks like a legitimate driver's license. It looks pretty good. And people ask me, well, wait a minute, how did that person get a driver's license if it's all fake? Listen, for $50, you can buy those all day long on the internet. All day long. This is the same woman. Excuse the darkness of the photo. It's not too easy to see, but she's sending my victim a text. Crazy about you. And it's not this, it's all a setup. Here's another one. Same lady, same phone number. And she's getting this guy, or she or he is getting this guy hook, line, and sinker. I mean, just reeling it in. And this man sent hundreds of thousands of dollars to this lady, well, not this lady, the man posing as a lady. Again, here's a picture of a bunch of folks that were arrested. I'm not sure exactly where it was, what country it was, but you see all their laptops stacked there and there. Yeah, and I think a lot of that is for show. They'll, we'll push on them to do something, and they'll do something, and then as soon as we leave, the plane goes wheels up, and they say goodbye. These guys go right back doing what they were doing. We already talked about this one. I think the lady in Fuquay Marina area gets a call from her grandson. Well, a good buddy of mine was the resident agent in charge down in Madrid, and I called him and I said, Willie, here's what I got. I said, can we set up where we can have this thing sent to Western Union and then set up on the Western Union and pinch the guy when he goes to pick the money up? He started laughing. I said, what are you laughing about? This is serious. He said, dude, there are over 200 locations to pick up Western Union in Madrid alone. There is no way we would know where the person could pick it up. So like if somebody sends you a Western Union into Wilmington, you go anywhere in Wilmington that has a Western Union and pick it up. So it's convenient, but again, it's frustrating for us. Let's see. This is a good one and a bad one. These folks were husband and wife up in Roxborough, North Carolina, up near Virginia, and they had worked for this. Both of them had worked for the state all their lives. Had saved their money. They had a nice little home, nice vehicles, just a good middle class family, kids, grandkids, and so forth. They had just recently retired. When the husband gets a text, a Facebook Messenger text or message from an old high school friend saying, hey, look, I have won the North Carolina retirement lottery, and one of the winners. Has anybody ever heard of the North Carolina retirement lottery? Yeah, exactly, because it doesn't exist. He says, the person said, look, can I give them your name? Because I saw your name on the list of winners and they need to reach you. He said, oh, he couldn't type fast enough. Oh, yeah. $150,000. So they whoever it was contacted him, and he starts sending money to him. And he winds up sending $319,000 to them. And a couple of weeks later, he realizes it's a scam. He calls my office, myself and another agent go up there. I'll never forget sitting across from he and his wife after he showed me everything. I knew that the money was gone. There was nothing to recover. It was already gone. And I had to tell those people that every dime they had sent these criminals was not coming back. They lost it. They'd never get it back. This lady started crying, and she had to get up and leave the room. I mean, it was terrible. And then 3 weeks later, they called the Attorney General's office and they complained on me because I couldn't get their money back. I mean, believe me, I wish I could have. And he thought if he sent just a little bit more that he would get the prize. And that I put that there because a lot of people feel that way. Okay, something didn't feel right, but if I just do a little more, it'll work out. And it doesn't. let's see, this is a good case because I was actually able to lock somebody up. So I get a call from a good friend of mine in the Denver Secret Service Denver field office. And he says, Stan, I need you to check an address for me in Raleigh. I've got a lady that has an elderly mother and she's now taken over her finances for her. And she's noticing a check that this lady keeps sending every month for $350 to a guy in Raleigh. And she can't explain what it's for, doesn't understand. It just keeps sending it. So he gives me an address. We go out there. This guy answers the door, and everything he said was a lie. And I know that because when everything he said was a lie, as long as his lips were moving. You ever heard of a person like that? So we knew he had something going on. So we did a bunch of subpoenas. We found 36, I think it was 36 victims, all over the country, and I could prove 163,000 that had been sent to him. So we did a search warrant of his house. We did an arrest warrant, a grand jury indictment, locked him up here. Actually, he was down here in Wilmington, staying with his mother. So we came and locked him up here. The judicial proceedings were here. He finally pled guilty. The guy had never even had a speeding ticket, and he did 56 months in federal prison off of that. So the judge, of course, it couldn't hurt that the judge was Judge Fox down here, who was at least 85 years old when he sentenced the guy. So it didn't work out too good for that guy. So here's another one, work from home scheme. A lot of people put their resumes up on the job boards, monster.com, indeed.com, those websites. Well, these guys that you saw laying on the floor and playing on the laptops, they're looking at those too to try to find people to hire and ask them to open bank accounts and start receiving and sending monies. So what happens is the checks are all fictitious, but they want them to receive them and cash them, and then by the time the bank figures out the check's no good, the money's already gone, and then the victim is left holding back. So yeah, this is just talking about what we call a money mule. A money mule is a person, like I was talking about yesterday, that receives monies from somewhere else and facilitates them moving on to another place. And the criminal needs that because the criminal's not able to actually have the money come over to them. It has to be done by a willing participant. We had one of these, we've got so many of these, it's almost hard to keep them straight, but we had one in Wilmington that I found out about 2 months ago. And we knew the lady had sent about $150,000 over a period of about a year, over different methods like wiring money, cashier's checks, Bitcoin, cash, sending cash, and so forth. So a guy went interviewed her. She said, "Yeah, my boyfriend, lives in, I think it was Egypt. He lives in Egypt, and he's in a company, and she's been sending all this money to him, and he's going to come over here and live with me." And lady had, again, typical. It was a lady that had lost her husband about 2 years ago, lonely, was trying to talk, wanted a friend basically. And we told her what was really going on. And we were able to, I think the lady here asked if we were able to get the money back. We always ask people, who do you bank with? And is there any money in any of these accounts? And normally people that are just being money mules will agree to assist us. And we actually went into a bank. We followed her to her bank, and she let us we seized about $20,000. So then we send that up to our asset forfeiture fund and then notify the victims, and then they can try to claim some of the money to get back. Very rare though, very rare. So this lady, I went back to the office after talking to this lady I'm talking about sent $150,000 and did some more digging. And I found out that she had, in a year's period, she had sent $1.5 million of other people's money out. Now, she may be criminally charged. I don't know yet. It's going to be up to the U.S. Attorney up in Raleigh to decide. Signs it might be a scammer. Person on the phone has a foreign accent or is difficult to understand. Emails, text are grammatically incorrect. That's still a problem, which we like because we can tell people, hey, if it's grammatically, or if they're using words, if you get an email and it says the word kindly do this, kindly do that, it's probably a scam. We don't use that here. We don't normally say, hey, kindly meet me for lunch at 12. Kindly send me a check for $100. No, we don't. They ask you to withdraw funds from your bank, send it, Western Union, MoneyGram, wire, bank wire, cashier's check, see a lot of that. And we're now starting to see, I hinted about it a minute ago, the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a virtual currency. And there's several places in Wilmington, you can go take cash and put them into a Bitcoin ATM and it credits somebody's account. And when that happens, it's impossible for us to trace. And it also can be negotiated, cashed out in any denomination in the world. So it's very convenient for people and convenient for the criminal, but it's just another roadblock for us. They ask you to open up a new bank account. That's a red flag. They ask you for personal information and/or a person is persistent and the matter is urgent. You got to do it. Grandma's going to she's in the hospital with a bad heart valve. And if you don't send us money tomorrow, she's going to die because they won't do the surgery until they get the money. Whatever that is, but they do like to invoke panic. How can you avoid being a victim? Don't hesitate to hang up the phone or don't answer the phone. Never give out personal information to people. You wouldn't believe what people will give other people. They give them their name, their address, their social security number, date of birth, mother's maiden name, PIN number, bank card account number. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Trust your gut instinct. That's a good one because a lot of times people say, I just felt like something wasn't quite right. Well, that's your gut instinct saying, hey, whoa, stop here. Call a family member, call a friend, ask somebody, hey, does this sound good to you? Or does this sound right to you? Don't be afraid to ask for help. If you start into something like this, if you ask somebody for help, ask a friend, a family member, police, whoever. And please do report it. We try to, not that we can get a lot of money back, but we do want to know what's going on. And sometimes we can take a police report and match it to other things that are kind of similar and build a case from there. And then finally, to educate other people, please take the information I gave you here and tell somebody, at least one or two people about it, because we're really trying to help lock things down. And like I said before, what do these scams have in common? Social engineering, which is nothing but convincing someone to give you something of value. That's all it is, except for really not even the scheme where you get on your computer and you get the box that says don't do anything else, call Microsoft support or Apple support. You're still giving that person permission to come into your computer. They can't do it without your participation. Here's a tried and true statement. I used it 30 years ago when I was teaching folks back then. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And then again, back when that instinct again. So what happens if you do find yourself or a friend of yours, a family member, a victim? Cease all communication immediately. That's what we told the lady yesterday. You got to change your phone number, your email address. You got to go to the bank and tell them that this person has your bank account information. What I didn't tell you is that the criminal went out with her information and opened a loan in her name from her bank account that she never knew about. $24,000. Notify your credit, the three credit bureaus, what is it, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, got it. Those three, they share information, but if you're a victim of identity theft or somebody's got your information, notify these credit bureaus and put a fraud alert on your account. Then if somebody tries to open up something, they're going to contact you immediately and say, hey, is this you? Are you somebody's trying to buy, are you trying to buy a boat up at the boat place up here at the marina? A boat? Of course not. I'm not trying to buy a boat. I'm at work. Okay, well, somebody's trying to buy a boat. And it's not you. Monitor bank accounts online. How many people use online banking? How many people think online banking is not safe? Why is it not safe?
Because of the way it's displayed
Displayed where?
on the computer. Everybody can get access to it.
Okay, so there's where you're wrong. If and a lot of people think that. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm not going to use the computer for banking. It's not secure. It is secure. Bank uses the secured socket layering, which is a type of encryption from your computer or phone all the way through to theirs and back. It's all jumbled up information. If somebody were trying to get it, all they would get is garbage. So online banking is safe. A lot of times when you go on there, if you do that, you can go on there and find out very quickly if something's wrong instead of waiting for that monthly statement. And the fraud is weeks old. Yes, ma'am.
Of course.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
if you try to pay a bill online using your bank to some place?
As long as you know that you're at the, if you're paying your utilities bill and you go to their website and use their software to do it. I've been banking online for 15 years and I have never had a problem. Never. I mean, all my bills are paid online. I mean, it just, the power bill comes in, I get a thing, hey, $283 will be paid by online banking on such and such date. It simplifies things. Yes, ma'am.
But I'm asking something. How in the world someone in jail to get some information? Because someone called me about a month ago and they told me it was incarcerated. They said they knew me and it was so nice. How can they get your phone number? Because you call my phone number. You get that when you're in jail. I don't even know
All of our
about it.
information is out there. That's scary, but it is. It's out there, and groups can. If you got the money, you can buy these things. You can buy information. Probably somebody probably bought the information. This guy bought it from them or something. It's out there. So that's what he doesn't know who you are, but he's just got some information that your name and address, phone number.
To a jailer? Somebody in jail? Somebody get
A lot of times, remember now, a lot of times, if they're in prison, they've got access to the internet. They've got access to telephones. So they can do it. Yes, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
If you're in, like in McDonald's and you're using your iPad and you're because you're using their Wi-Fi, is that still safe?
I would not do that. I would not conduct bank business or anything like that on open Wi-Fi.
Or even look at it?
Right, because if that Wi-Fi is not password protected, then it could actually be hacked and then the data compromised. Now, I said earlier that all the bank data is encrypted from the computer or phone, and it is, but I would not take that chance just in case there's something there. But here's the other thing that I didn't mention. If something happens and you get defrauded and in your bank accounts, somehow somebody gets access to you, the bank is going to make you whole. They're going to give it back. They're going to take the loss. If you were scammed, if something was put on your card, ATM card, whatever, that was not you not authorized, they're gonna make you whole. So know that. So what are we doing about this problem? Public education, law enforcement education, the street officer, the normal street officer riding around here, they don't know this much about this. You know, they've got all kinds of stuff. They're the first responder. They have to know a little bit about a lot of things, but not a whole lot about these kinds of things. So this is more of an investigator. We try to educate law enforcement agencies in what the problem is and how to react to it, who to call and so forth. We also have a good cooperation with banks. Banks call us a lot when they see, hey, our customer, we think something's going on, especially the smaller banks. The big banks, it's like drinking from a fire hose for them. They can't do that. They don't know their customer like smaller banks do. Case coordination, obviously, I mentioned that it's just coordinating cases between us to make sure we're on the same page. And I already answered why we can't arrest them. Now, here's what we came up with in cooperation with the senior center and with the Cape Fear area on aging and the what am I missing? There was another one, Cape Fear Council of Governments. Anyway, our headquarters designed, we have our own visual information branch with our own printers up at headquarters, and that I gave them some information and they designed this flyer. So we're trying to get this out. We were at the fair this past a couple of weeks, about a month, what is it, a month ago now or so, almost a month ago. And we had a booth set up there and we were trying to talk, we were talking to a lot of seniors and handing out information, trying to educate people on this kind of thing. So these flyers we send out, please, we got plenty of them. Jeff's passing them out now. If you need more, let me know, let us know. And what I don't have a copy of here is there's a letter that says basically the same thing that we sent out I know to Meals on Wheels. I think you guys have sent out about 10,000 letters to people. And we know people are reading them because they're showing up at the office going, hey, did you send me this? Because they think it's, you know, weird. Well, yeah, we sent it to you. And we're not asking you to give us anything, any money or anything. We're just trying to tell you what to watch out for. So those are investigative efforts in public outreach. Now, how much time do we have? Do we have left?
Which one, this more questions?
I was just going to do questions. So do we have time for questions? Yes, ma'am.
I got, matter of fact, right now I have an email from a voicemail. Day before yesterday. Can I play it?
Of course.
Okay.
I'd say that twice, the time I feel since I've gotten a little older.
One second, sorry.
She does.
She's trying to play something real quick. Hang on 1 second.
This doesn't show, doesn't sound like asking for money, like you're kind of.
Yeah, I would just, yeah, that's not specific to anything.
Right,
I would just
and they're not asking for money, they're like they're saying they could get, you know.
delete it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I would say that I have been almost a victim twice of what you just explained to us. One was through my bank, and I forgot the procedure, it was been a while back, but the bank called me and they let me know before. I didn't know.
Right.
And I got a call on my phone about a sweepstake publisher's clearinghouse or something. And I was that close. I had the money.
Oh, my goodness.
I went to where they told me, and the people in the place of business said that they could not do what I asked them to do. And they alerted me that it wasn't right. And so I got a chance to keep my money both ways. I mean,
Thank goodness. Thank
it
goodness.
just
And there's
sounds
some-
like it's so legitimate and it's okay
Right.
like that. And
Right. Like I say, they're very convincing, you know. They ask people to go out and do a wire transfer, do a MoneyGram, or do Apple iTunes gift card. If anybody asks you to go buy Apple iTunes gift cards, hang up. Please hang up. And they'll stay on the phone with you while you go do it. They really
That's
will.
what they did. They stayed on the phone with me. They be straight through.
Yep. This lady who just asked me a question. She said that the folks on the phone kept her on the phone while she
They
went to the
did.
store and
Tell
say,
me what to do.
right, and they'll even say, okay, you tell them you want this, and if they give you any problem, if they give a problem to you about it, then I'll tell you what to say to them.
Right.
To make them do it. Again, it's just all to try to further their criminal enterprise. It's all it is. Yes, ma'am.
I got another one too yesterday after that one, forgiveness loans, a student loan.
Yeah.
The last time I've been a student.
Right, so you don't have a student loan to forgive, right? So,
What are they gaining for that?
well,
What they gain?
first of all, when they'll send out, 100,000 of those. And somebody in that 100,000 is gonna have a student loan that they need, that they are paying on. And, well, this is great. Oh, this is student loan forgiveness. This is great. I'll do whatever it is so I don't have to pay it back. And it's just another way. I keep getting these calls from AT&T, DirecTV, 50% discount. What happens there is no such thing, by the way. It's a 50% discount on your AT&T and DirecTV. So what happens is people call the number, hey, I'd like 50% off, all great. Give us your debit card. We have to pay 6 months in advance or 3 months in advance. And then you do that. And then the next month, your bill comes just like it always does from AT&T and DirecTV. And you call them and say, hey, wait a minute. Y'all made a mistake. And I'm on the 50% off discount. They say to you, I'm so sorry, but that is not AT&T. You've given your money to somebody and it just doesn't exist. So, that's, again, when you've heard the word phishing, P8 with a PH. Phishing is when they send out they blast 100,000 emails out. They know the majority of people are going to delete them. They know that. But if they get 1%, that's a lot of people that they can get, they can scam and fraud. So like when you I got a text yesterday, your Wells Fargo account has been locked. Your card has been locked. Call this number. Well, guess what? I don't have a Wells Fargo account of any kind. So now what I do though is I'll call them just to see what they say and how it's set up. This particular one is interesting because it's all automated. You punch your card number in, punch your PIN number in, punch your date of birth in, punch your expiration of your card, punch your PIN number. And so if I did that, which I put all fake everything, just to see what would happen, it was all automated. And at the very end, they said, thank you, your card has now been restored. Goodbye. So now that you don't even have to deal with anybody, it's all a robot that you give all your stuff to. And then that's collected, and then the criminal's able to then go out and open accounts in your name, buy boats in your name. I just use that as an example. So any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Like if you sitting home on your phone, talking on your phone, and you got a call ID, and your phone pop up saying you calling yourself, but you're on your phone talking. How do you get your phone number?
That's what we call a spoof. So a spoof, SPOOF. So a criminal can use a software program to call you and make it look like that call's coming from anybody, anywhere. And I didn't touch on voice over IP enough. Used to be years ago, all phones were actually a physical connection and they were tied to a physical address. So if you saw a 910-791, that's Wilmington. 910-763, that's Wilmington. You would know. And it even says Wilmington NC because it's identified that 910 is the area code, 763 is what's called the exchange, which is assigned to a city. And so the software would say, oh, that's Wilmington. Guess what? I can be sitting in Bangkok, Thailand, and plug my voice over IP box in to my internet and get dial tone and call you from Wilmington. You think it's from Wilmington. So the criminal uses that, you know, that phone number that they can use any number to make you think, oh, it's just from Wilmington, it's probably legitimate. I need to answer it. Because they know that people aren't answering their phones if it's random. So again, like I said before, in the very beginning, I said ever-changing techniques. That's what I'm talking about. They constantly are coming up with something new to do. And we could go on and on for a long time about all this. Did we have anybody else have another one, I think?
Yes, 3 years ago, I used to, I had got Hut credit, and I think my balance was like $300. So I was like sending $30, and which I trusted. And for some reason, they had merged with insurance policy. The insurance policy got all my information. And after Finger Hut got their interest, then the insurance policy got the rest of the money. So I was like giving them like 43 cents, 39 cents thought on my account. And I didn't pay it. I just knew it was, I said, well, after a year, I want to, see what else that I paid out. When I finally looked at the bill, I had those bills got $761.39 from the insurance company.
Oh my goodness.
So when I called Finger Hut and asked them what's going on, I get no answer. When my number pops up, they don't answer. And I can't, and I finally did get the insurance company that joined with them. I tried to talk to them. I get no answer.
Did you talk to your bank? That's what you need to do. Go to your bank
Okay,
and tell them what happened and see if they can help you.
okay, thank you.
That's what I would do. Yes. Because you can dispute that. You can dispute that and file a claim with the bank. Hey, they took that. This is not legitimate. I didn't authorize this.
Well, I mean, and I found out that what the lady, the first time I called the insurance, they told me I had signed up for 25,000 insurance policy. I said, show me the policy, send me a blank of it. I said, because if I die a few minutes, if I die 10 minutes, my son will not know about that policy.
Right.
And that's when they stopped communicating with me.
It doesn't sound good to me. It sounds legit to me at all.
Questions from our virtual
Oh, yes,
audience?
I'm so sorry.
No, we don't have any.
Any questions from the virtual audience? I haven't neglected you all. I've been watching you a little bit here as I can. Questions at all from the virtual audience?
Just a thank you for the valuable information.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I have a personal relationship with my banker, so that's a good thing to have because if
That's
anything
very
come
good
up there wrong,
Yes, ma'am.
she'll call me. She said, when I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken to get some chicken, so I put my credit card up there. And the lady said, oh, your credit card, you don't have no money. I said, oh, yes, I do. And she said, no, you don't. So when I got to the bank, about a week later, she said, oh, I terminate your card. I said, why? She said, because somebody tried to get $3,000 or $4,000 off your account. And she said, you didn't have that in there, so I canceled it. So that's why I said, well, you should have told me about that card, because when I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken, they said, yeah, I didn't have no money in the bank. And I know I have money in that bank. So it's a good thing to have a relationship with your banker, so she can let you know, hey, you don't have this, you can't get it.
Right. You know, the banks are getting smarter and smarter. The larger banks especially, and they're putting a lot of automation in that looks for unusual transactions. You know, I bought something the other day and it was not something I normally do buy or whatever. I don't even know what it was, but they flagged it and they said, hey, they sent me a text, did you buy this? And I said, yes. I said, okay, try it again. Because we thought it might be fraudulent. I know what it was, something online, Amazon or something. So. All right, well, thank y'all so much for listening, and putting up with me.
Thank you, Stan.
Thank you, Mr. Stan.
You're so welcome.
And Jeff for
Yes.
setting this up.
Thank you.
And maybe we can do a round two.